everybody, welcome. Today we are going to talk about 10 tips how to be successful in the new year. And if you hang around to the very end, what we're going to do is we're going to also give you 3 great supplements to start out the year as well. So the first one is to be able to set clear goals. Now what does that mean? That means you want clear, distinct, measurable goals. You want to be able to set realistic goals. Oftentimes when I have people working in the clinic here with me, oftentimes they'll procrastinate because they've set their goals in an unrealistic point and they've made it too big. So it's important to be able to set realistic goals. Number 2 is in relationship to that is also define more than one goal. Define 1 to 3 goals. I usually like to set goals in a couple of different ways. One in a short term, like a 30-day number, as well as sometime in the next 12 months. Now, if you've practiced goals before, you can set a more long-term goal, but oftentimes what happens is if people are not practiced with goals, then they tend to crash and burn if they do more than 12 months. Now, creating a morning routine is another really important goal. So, as human beings, we are moving farther and farther away from nature and the routines that are associated with nature, and that makes us sicker and sicker. And so creating a morning routine that has some consistency to provide you with success in the morning is a really, really important part of that. So that leads into the next tip, which is in relation to creating that morning routine, which is do some sort of meditation where you see the success of your day. You feel the joy of what it feels like to have a really awesome day. And that will increase your chance and likelihood of actually having success that day because you're pre-programming and wiring your brain for success for the day. Another big one is to prioritize your health. Now, obviously, I'm biased to that because that's the health field that I work in, or the health field is where I work in. But to be able to prioritize your health is really important to be able to find success in the equivalent nature of, like when you think about your car, if you don't prioritize changing your brake pedals, changing your tires, getting regular oil changes if you have a regular ICE car, then what will happen is that car is quickly going to degrade and there's going to be a lot of costly repairs that cause lots of problems. So prioritizing your health is really important. So you can start small. A lot of people really struggle with dehydration, for example. So you can start with just simply working on maybe buying a nice container that will help you identify how much water you're drinking. That makes a huge difference on your level of health. Now, the next one is going to be decluttering your space. So what does that mean? Oftentimes, we have stuff around us that makes it really hard for us to be able to focus, that takes our energy, that makes us anxious. And so, especially, for example, Jordan B. Peterson, one of my favorites, he talks about making your bed first thing in the morning. That's a really simple thing, but it allows to have some structure amongst the chaos of the world that we live in. Also, if you can, and if you have energy to, in relation to organizing space around you, also organizing your digital clutter. So often we have so much digital stuff, and it's all over the place. And so to be able to organize it in a pattern and a fashion, I like the para method. I forget the guy's name right now. I'll put it in the information down below. So also being able to track your progress, super duper important. So writing things down so you know where your start point was and where you want to be, and then keeping track over time, having some way of doing that is really, really important for success. I'm a huge fan of either having a physical journal, or if you're into technology, having a digital journal is really, really nice. Because the digital journal, you can do a search and you can find different things that you have written down before, which honestly, that's one of the big things that I see in the difference between a person who's successful and not successful. Oftentimes it's just because someone wrote down what it is that they were working on, and or they have a way of keeping track of things. So another one is going to be to invest in personal growth. What does that mean? Kind of goes along with the idea of health, right? So that can mean deciding to read a book or taking a class. It could mean, for example, my family's big into Duolingo. You could get involved in Duolingo and do 1 to 3 minutes a day to be able to learn a language in the next 2 or 3 years. So that's a really simple one that I really like. Also, strengthening relationships, right? So a big part of being human, especially at this new year, is to start over again. So maybe this relationship year, this last year, has sucked really bad, and you've lost people, and there's been really hard and difficult circumstances that have happened this last year. So maybe it's time to be able to start over again and really work on bringing in new and healthy relationships. Brene Brown quotes Prentice Hemphill, which is has my favorite boundary definition, which relates to relationships, which is boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. And so it's great to be able to have relationships that you can love yourself and love them at the same time. So people who respect your boundaries really, really makes a huge difference to not only your quality of life, but also your quantity of life. There's a lot of research behind that. So also learning to be able to manage your time wisely. It's so easy to be able to get lost in digital technology. And so time blocking is a great way to do that. If you've never learned how to do that, it's just basically literally deciding blocks of time that you're going to want to spend and decide what you're doing during those time frames. And so that's a really great to-do tool. And there's lots of really cool apps as well as being able to do that on a physical calendar. Also, this kind of goes back to this idea of the morning routine, but practicing gratitude. My favorite time to do that is in the morning, but in the evening is also a really great time. Practicing gratitude gives you energy and momentum and kind of reward for appreciating the things that you have and or being in the moment, which then just increases your quality of life. It's a great kind of positive feedback. Some people like to do gratitude journals, for example, and write 5 things that they appreciate and have gratitude for during the day in the evening before they go to bed. A lot of times it will help people sleep. And that goes into the next one, which is celebrating small wins. Oftentimes when people are trying to get well, go into the gym, losing weight, whatever it may be, improving in relationships, oftentimes what we do, I like to quote Tony Robbins with this, which is, people overestimate what they can do in the short term and they underestimate what they can do in the long term. So it's really important to understand that celebrating little small wins is essential for you to be successful. So for example, the idea here is to be able to cut things thinner, slice things thinner. James Clear talks about it in his book where you want to have 1% change every day. So for example, I was talking to a patient today and we were talking about going to the gym for the first time ever. And we talked about the first thing you can do is get up in the morning and put on your shoelaces or put on your shoes that are related to working out and your gym shorts. And that's the thing that you made thinner for the day. Maybe the next session, you go to the gym and walk around. You don't actually work out. You go to the third time, you go to the gym with your workout gear on. And then maybe the fourth time, you actually go and work out and do something very gentle. So the idea is if you can slice it thinner, generally speaking, you can get it done. It may take a little longer and maybe a little more annoying than you'd like it to be, but you're going to find success with that. And so that's also going to be the way in which you're going to rewrite your brain for this next year for success. In order to find success, I see so many people, myself included, where what we do is we just overload ourselves too much, especially those of you who are also fellow perfectionists like myself. Sometimes we will overload ourselves with too much stuff and not be able to accomplish anything. So those are some great small actionable tips that you can use to start off this new year to find some great success. So, for those of you who held out till the very end, there are 3 supplements specifically that I'm going to share with you that are real simple, very inexpensive, and great for the new year. The first one is going to be vitamin C. It's an antioxidant. It helps you with stress. Helps your bowels move after detoxing from all the crap you just ate. Vitamin D. Great for this time of year, especially if you live in the Northwest where it's all yucky and gross outside. We cover ourselves up and we don't get any vitamin D. It increases our chance for getting sick as well as it affects our mood. Seasonal affective disorder is a huge big deal out here, and so being able to put that vitamin D in our bodies supports us and lifts our mood. Now, another one that's to be used more for like a short-term piece is going to be activated charcoal. Used away from food, whether first thing in the morning or right before bed, or maybe after you had a night of overdoing it a little bit, whether it be from goodies or some sort of, extra partying thing that you've done, that activated charcoal will kind of soften that blow up and kind of clear stuff out and start with a little gentle detox. So it's a great, inexpensive way to kind of clear stuff out and start over again. Now, the key with the activated charcoal is to recognize that anything else that you eat in relation to close by it is going to be absorbed by it too. So don't do it too close to your meals and or any nutrition that you're taking, because it's going to cause problems with your absorption. So those are some great tips to start the new year off. This is to your success. Please like and subscribe if you liked what you heard today. This is Dr. Fisher signing out.